Not every lyric John Lennon wrote during his time with the Beatles was meant to be entirely coherent. In the band's early psychedelic period, deciphering the meanings behind his songs was already challenging, and attempting to unravel the intent behind something as cryptic as I Am the Walrus seemed nearly impossible. While those songs often served as abstract musical canvases, Glass Onion took this to another level. Anyone trying to interpret each line as having a specific meaning is likely setting themselves up for frustration. By the time he wrote Glass Onion, Lennon had become well aware that fans and critics alike were obsessively analysing every lyric he wrote. Rather than give them more material for interpretation, he decided to play with their expectations by intentionally creating something that would mislead and confuse them. He was amused by the bizarre conspiracy theory that Paul McCartney had supposedly died in a 1966 car crash, so he mischievously included a lyric claiming Paul was the Walrus, which only fueled speculation further. But the confusion didn't end there. Virtually every line in the song is packed with references and riddles. Lennon weaves in callbacks to previous Beatles tracks, jumping from surreal places like a version of Strawberry Fields, even more dreamlike than the original, to nods at the isolated spiritual figure from The Fool on the Hill. Yet, beyond the lyrical Easter eggs, the song also contains phrases with no obvious context or origin. While Beatles fans were already used to vivid imagery, like newspaper taxis and cellophane flowers from Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, this song marked a departure even from that surrealism. Rather than relying on the psychedelic norms of the era, Lennon managed to craft something equally bizarre using only his imagination. References like making a dovetail joint added another layer of randomness. And yet, despite all of the lyrical oddities, it's the title itself that remains the most puzzling. So, what exactly is a glass onion? At first glance, the phrase might seem like another nod to the Paul is dead rumour mill. Given that fans were obsessing over the possibility of McCartney's demise, the idea of a glass onion being a transparent coffin through which one could view the deceased might have seemed plausible to some. Still, that interpretation feels a bit too macabre, even for Lennon. Rather than inviting people to mourn or search for hidden death clues, Lennon's idea of looking into a glass onion may have been symbolic. It could represent an invitation for the listener to peer into the strange and layered world the Beatles had constructed, particularly on the White Album. Perhaps Lennon was offering a transparent lens, a glimpse into the surrealism and contradictions within the Beatles' universe. And the White Album certainly lived up to that strangeness. The opening tracks like Back in the USSR and Dear Prudence ease listeners in, but once Glass Onion arrives, it signals that all predictability is off the table. From there, the album veers wildly, from carnival-like chaos in Helter Skelter to experimental soundscapes in Revolution 9, to deeply emotional moments like George Harrison's While My Guitar Gently Weeps. As Glass Onion concludes with a haunting string arrangement, it feels as though the audience has momentarily stepped into Lennon's peculiar worldview. It's undeniably odd, but when it comes to the Beatles, odd has never been a flaw. In fact, it's part of what made them legendary.